Welcome back to Fan the Flame Dates. We're glad you joined us. Today we're going to talk about building our spiritual union together.
And that's a difficult form of intimacy. Some would argue that building spiritual intimacy is the most difficult. And I know that, in the 40 years that we've been married, this is one of the pieces of the foundation that didn't get put in as well as it should have. We still struggle with this whole idea of a spiritual union. And a lot of that falls back on me because I don't feel like I'm on the same spiritual plane as you. You get up early in the morning, you have your quiet time, you got the stack of books there. We've talked about it in the other video, but that's sometimes kind of, intimidating to me. And I think, I got nothing to bring Karen here. This is a tough thing for me to achieve.
But the deal is we each do relationships differently, and before we can build a spiritual union with our spouse, we need to nurture our own relationship with the Lord. And we can do that in a variety of ways, by Bible study and prayer and fellowship with other believers. But what we need to do is make sure that our relationship with the Lord is on firm ground before we can
it ties in with that commitment we talked about in the other video, that we need to be committed to growing together as individuals.
But I do want to say that don't wait until your relationship with the Lord is perfect. It's just the desire that you have. I have a desire to have a relationship with the Lord. Is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. But what I really want to do is take that relationship with the Lord, take your relationship with the Lord, and come together where we understand each other.
I wasn't worried about being perfect. I was worried about the fact of leadership. How can I lead if you're further down the trail than I am? That's what kind of choked me back from wanting to lead in this area. And you didn't want to ask me to lead because you didn't feel it was your role to lead. You felt it was my role to lead. Yeah, your expectation was Bruce is the spiritual leader of the family, and we're not going to have devos until he initiates it. So we finally had to come up with a plan, and this is what's important part of this is that I said to Karen, when you want to have some spiritual touch, you need to feel free to talk to me. You need to feel free to say to me, listen, we need to spend some time together and pray about this topic, and that would help us move in the right direction.
It's easy to have a plan. We need to have a plan and work a plan in order for this to be successful in our lives.
When we talk about plan, I love to go to Dave and Claudia Arp's 10-Minute Miracle. It's a great place for couples to start. And the reason I like it is because it breaks up that leadership thing we were talking about. On Monday, Wednesday, Friday, the man leads. On Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, the wife leads. And on Sunday, you let the Lord lead. And honestly, I don't think any of us are going to hit all 7 days, so it's good to keep track. But it doesn't put all the responsibility on one person. So then you take the first 2 minutes and you read something, a devotional book. Maybe it's Daily Bread, Upper Room. It's one of, there's a lot of devotional books for couples out there that can give you this start that you can read. Then you begin to talk about it and talk about how it affects you as a couple. What does this verse say to you? What does it mean to you? How can we use it today in our lives? And then you move from there to a short time of prayer. And I know this is where a lot of couples feel a disparity of spiritual union. She's very comfortable praying, he's not, or he is and she isn't, vice versa. And we do a number of retreats where we have couples pray together. And one of the things that we teach them is a silent prayer where you hold hands. And if I'm uncomfortable praying out loud, Karen might say, I'm going to pray for our boys today. And when I'm done, you pray silently, and when you're done, just squeeze my hand. So Karen would lead us out in a little word of prayer. We'd be quiet, I'd pray, I'd squeeze, and Karen would know to pray for the next topic that we agreed on praying about. And then you're done. And that's all it needs to be. It doesn't need to be someone giving a sermon or a well thought out devotional. It's just a time of spiritual touch that helps you focus together on the Word and pray together a little bit about the things that are very important to you.
And I'd like to add, too, that it's important in our spiritual union to pray for each other when we're not together, and using the Word to pray for our spouses. And there's great prayers in the Bible that you can use, and when you don't know what they're going through in their day, you can pray that they would be filled with the knowledge of His will through all spiritual wisdom and understanding. Who doesn't want that for their spouse, their kids, their friends or their family. So praying those prayers that you find in the scriptures help.
Understand that building true intimacy in every facet takes more than 2 years. You know, you're not going to achieve the pinnacle of emotional, physical, or spiritual intimacy in this season of young love. You know, Karen and I love each other more today than the day we got married because we've gone through these seasons. We have 40 years of experience in doing life together. So, but what you want to do in this time of young love in your marriage is begin to start the habit of connecting emotionally, physically, and spiritually, and make it a priority. So pause the video now, take time to go through the questions, see how well you're doing in achieving this spiritual intimacy, and we'll look for you next time on fantheflamedates.com.